My wife, the campus queen, and I were reborn together, but I couldn't feel a shred of happiness. In fact, I blocked her on everything. The reason was simple. In our previous life, after 10 years of marriage, she had never once called me her husband. The day she was kidnapped, when no one else would trade their life for hers, I was the only one who stepped forward. I took her place, locked away in a bone-chilling water cell. But when she finally raised the ransom money, she pointed at her first love and said, "I want to save him." I didn't cry or cause a scene. I simply asked her, "If you had married someone else, would you have been happier?" Her eyelashes fluttered, and finally, she lowered her gaze, turning away with her first love in tow. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I laughed. In 10 years, I'd heard her say, "I'm sorry" more times than I could count. I should have known this was how it would end. I got to my feet and, at the last possible second, threw myself in front of the kidnapper's gun. A small, bloody smile touched my lips. "Congratulations," I managed. "Now I'll never be between you two again." The next time I opened my eyes, I was back on the day I first confessed my feelings to her. This time, I turned and ran, blocking and deleting every trace of her from my contacts. But then, her tear-streaked face appeared on the massive electronic billboard downtown. "Sonny, I can't be happy without you. I can't. Candy will be here soon. So make yourself presentable. At least change out of those sweats." My father's voice scolded from the doorway. I instinctively pressed the spot where the bullet had entered my chest. There was no wound. I was reborn. This was the day Candy Campbell came to the Hayes estate to choose a husband for the family alliance. I was supposed to be getting dressed, making sure I looked my best to make a good impression on her. After all, everyone knew I'd been in love with her for all 4 years of college. Everyone except her. That's why, in my past life, when she chose me out of all the eligible Hayes men, I thought I was dreaming. But now I just ran a hand through my messy hair and yawned. "Yeah, got it, Dad. You can go ahead." "All right, just make sure you look sharp. Candy doesn't like sloppy guys." I know. My dad left my room satisfied. He was sure I would pull out all the stops to impress Candy Campbell. But he was wrong. My previous marriage proved that some things just aren't meant to be. The union between the Hayes and Campbell families was incredibly profitable for both sides. But Candy never once gave me a genuine smile. Not even in bed would she call me her husband. She once looked at me with tears streaming down her face and asked, "Am I really going to be trapped with you for the rest of my life?" And I once asked her, "If I had met you before he did, do you think you could have loved me the way you loved him?" I never got an answer. But her "I'm sorry" said it all. If happiness can't be forced, then it's better to just let go. As it happened, there was a promising business opportunity in San Francisco. Its market value was set to skyrocket over the next decade, and now was the perfect time to get in on it. After packing my bags, I unlocked my phone, and the sight of Candy's smiling face on my wallpaper stung my eyes. I realized that before she married me, her smile had been so bright and full of life. Remembering the way she used to look at me with tears in her eyes, I opened my contacts and sent a message to Leo Reed. 3203 Riverview Drive. Come tell her how you feel. A moment later, a reply came from Leo. A single question mark. Are you insane? I typed back, I'm not kidding. Today's the day she's choosing her husband at the Hayes estate. You know, you're the only one she's ever wanted. The Reed family was a minor branch of the Hayes clan, so a match with him would still technically fulfill the alliance. But the Reeds were on the brink of bankruptcy. The union would bring the Campbells no benefit. That's why my father and I had left him off the list of candidates. I admit, I was being selfish. I knew that if Leo showed up, I wouldn't stand a chance. But later, my wife had looked at me through her tears and said, "I'm yours for life now. Are you happy?" I wasn't. This time, I'll let them have their happiness. I dressed down, blending in with the crowd of guests, and watched Candy as she held court. She was just as cool and distant as I remembered, her eyes scanning the room as if no man there was worthy of her attention, except for one. After she rejected my last cousin, she glanced impatiently toward the entrance. She turned to my father. "Mr. Hayes, is this really everyone?" My dad smiled. "There's one more who hasn't arrived. Just be patient, Candy." "I'm not," she said, though her eyes immediately darted back to the door. She had looked at that same door in our past life, desperately hoping her true love would walk through it. When he never came, she finally, after a long silence, pointed a listless finger at me. "I'll take him then," she'd said, her voice devoid of any emotion. And with that one casual, dismissive sentence, she had sealed my fate of devotion and sacrifice for the next decade. I sent one last message to Leo. Are you coming or not? The very next second, the large doors swung open. He and Candy locked eyes. It was as if they were seeing each other for the first time, the way they should have all those years ago. A faint smile played on my lips. I tipped the brim of my cap down and turned to leave. Without me in the way, Candy, you can finally be happy. I offered her a silent congratulations. Thank you, but I'm not going to marry you. When Candy said those words, a hush fell over the room. Everyone knew Leo Reed was her first love. I'd already left, so I had no idea what was happening. Leo thought he must have misheard her. Candy, you've rejected every single man from the Hayes family. Who else is there to choose? Candy turned to my father. Mr. Hayes, isn't Sonny here? My dad was taken aback. Candy had always been indifferent towards me, always calling me by my full name. This was the first time she'd ever just said Sonny. That boy, he had to step out for a moment. Candy stared. What could possibly be more important than our engagement? My father nervously wiped a bead of sweat from his brow. It's all right, Mr. Hayes. Candy sat down again, her posture perfect. I'll wait for him. My father forced a smile. Candy, there are so many fine men in the Hayes family. Why are you so set on him? He's the only one I want. Candy smiled faintly. As soon as he returns, we'll get engaged, Mr. Hayes. My father wiped his forehead again. Candy, I really don't think you should wait. Why not? She asked, blinking. He's the one who's always loved me, isn't he? Well, my father began because he used to think so too. He'd been completely shocked when I'd shown up earlier with my bags packed to say goodbye. Though he was unhappy with my sudden decision, he'd always spoiled me, especially after my mother passed away. After I explained my business plan and told him I was done with love, he had reluctantly nodded and let me go. My father hesitated, unsure of what to say. But Leo couldn't stay silent any longer. Candy, he doesn't love you. He's playing you. Look, if you don't believe me. He held out his phone, showing her our message history. Seeing our conversation, Candy shot to her feet and snatched the phone, her hand trembling. He told you to come here and confess to me? She asked, her voice shaking. Leo nodded. He was never that into you. It was all an act. He left in such a hurry. He's probably already found someone else. That's impossible, Candy said. She looked up at Leo, and the disbelief in her eyes stunned him. Sonny wouldn't do that to me. She turned back to my father. Mr. Hayes, please stop this. If Sonny comes out right now, I'll go with him to City Hall and marry him this instant. I swear on the Campbell family name. Candy, it's not that I'm trying to keep you two apart. It's just, my father hesitated. He said he never wants to see you again for as long as he lives. The veins on the back of Candy's hand stood out as she clenched her fist. She quickly opened her contacts, refusing to believe it. How could he not want to see me? I'm the one he's always loved. But when the message she sent failed to deliver, she swayed on her feet, nearly falling. She stared in disbelief at the red notification icon, her breathing shallow. He blocked me? I heard the Campbell heiress is getting engaged to one of the Hayes boys today. Not a Hayes, it's a Reed. Leo Reed, her first love, remember? Oh, right. Not that Hayes kid who was always following her around. If I were her, I'd be so sick of him. I stood on the curb with my sunglasses on and my suitcase in hand, waiting for my ride. Overhearing the passers-by, I let out a self-deprecating laugh. That Hayes kid wouldn't be bothering anyone anymore. This life was for me, free and unattached. Did you hear? Candy Campbell rented out the big screen for today. Look, up on that tallest building. I heard it cost $100,000 for just 10 seconds. I pinched the bridge of my nose, a headache starting to form. Even though I was over her, the thought of seeing her in Leo's public declaration of love made my stomach turn. I was about to turn away when a pair of tear-filled eyes on the screen met mine. Sonny, her image said, I can't be happy without you. I thought I was seeing things, so I lowered my sunglasses. The same woman who had cried with misery on our wedding day was now crying with more heartbreak than I had ever seen. Sonny, I came here today for you. If you come back, I'll marry you this instant. I swear it. I had to be losing my mind. Candy Campbell, willingly offering to marry me. My brain must still be scrambled from this whole rebirth thing. Sonny, I know you can hear me. You don't have to answer. I'll find you. People on the street started murmuring. Am I hearing this right? Is she actually confessing her love to that guy who was always obsessed with her? They actually looked good together, but she was never into him. It was kind of sad how he always followed her around. Hey, haven't you heard? Sometimes the devoted guy wins in the end. Looks like that Hayes kid finally made it. The chatter all around forced me to accept that Candy's confession was real. I slapped my cheeks lightly to make sure I was awake, confirming again that it was really her on that screen. But how could that be possible? Had she actually fallen in love with me? The moment the thought crossed my mind, I mentally slapped myself. I was insane. Hadn't I suffered enough in the last life? It seemed Candy was even more pragmatic than I'd given her credit for. She was willing to tolerate being with someone she disliked if it meant securing the best deal for her family's alliance. The thought sent a chill through me. My taxi pulled up, and I got in, leaving that whole scene behind. The moment I stepped out of the cab, someone pointed. "That's him. Get him." I froze for a second, then saw a dozen people rushing toward me and realized they were after me. I didn't hesitate. I grabbed my suitcase and ran. I managed to duck into a convenience store, but the cashier stared at me for a few seconds before his eyes went wide. Sonny Hayes. Oh my God, he just walked right in. I bolted out the door again, running blindly. Hiding in an alley, I finally had a chance to check my phone. The second I opened Twitter, the top trending topic hit me like a punch. Candy Campbell was offering a $10 million reward for any information on my whereabouts. What had gotten into her? When we were married, her biggest regret was being with me. Now that I was giving her the freedom she always wanted, why was she chasing me down? I pulled my collar up high, adjusted my sunglasses to cover as much of my face as possible, and walked quickly toward the airport. Sonny. The familiar voice sent a chill down my spine. I couldn't mistake it. It was the voice that had spoken my name countless times in our past life. Sonny, how long are you going to keep running from me? The clicking of high heels grew closer behind me. Just as she was about to grab my arm, I flagged down a taxi and dove inside. Go, as fast as you can. I yelled at the driver. The taxi sped off. I glanced behind us and saw no one following. Just as I started to relax, the driver slammed on the brakes, sending me lurching into the front seat. Sir, there's someone blocking the road. I looked up and saw a supercar had executed a perfect spin to block our path. I recognized the license plate. It was Candy's. Sir, you need to get out. I'm canceling this ride. The driver, terrified by the custom vanity plate, was practically pushing me out of the car. I didn't argue. I jumped out and sprinted toward a nearby apartment complex. A supercar couldn't follow me through those narrow pathways. Sonny, stop. As expected, Kenny got out of her car and ran after me. She took the bait. I doubled back, yanked open the door to her supercar, and slid into the driver's seat. Just borrowing this. I shouted, I'll have it sent back from the airport. With that, I floored it and sped away. I thought I had finally gotten away from her. But then a deafening roar filled my ears, and I was shocked to see Candy pulling up alongside me on a motorcycle. I couldn't help but feel a surge of anxiety for her. Racing a supercar on a bike, was she insane? She wore a helmet and gestured for me to pull over. Not a chance. I was determined to have nothing to do with her in this life. To make her give up, I pushed the accelerator to the floor, leaving her behind in a blur. Trying to keep up at that speed was a death wish. But then a black shape shot past me. To my astonishment, the motorcycle overtook me, then spun around to a dead stop directly in my path. I was about to hit her. I slammed on the brakes, and my head hit the deploying airbag. The driver's side door was pulled open, and she slid into the seat, pushing me over. I knew you wouldn't be able to hit me, she said. I slumped back against the passenger seat, completely drained. What do you want from me? She tilted her head, a playful smirk on her lips. You keep running away. You're not afraid you'll fall for me all over again, are you? Her words made me freeze. Could it be that she was reborn too? Is there a point to all this? I asked, my patience gone. I was using the same words she had thrown at me 1,000 times in her past life. For a split second, a flicker of sadness crossed her eyes, but it was gone as quickly as it appeared. Admit it, Sonny, she said. You're just scared those old feelings will come back. I'll have you wrapped around my finger again. That's ridiculous. Then prove it. Let me come with you to San Francisco. I was stunned. She smiled at me, and for a moment, I was completely disoriented. Was she actually capable of smiling at me like that? You're going there for business anyway, she continued. What's the matter? Afraid you won't be able to control yourself if I'm around. Her provocations always worked on me. Annoyed, I grabbed a lighter and lit a cigarette right in front of her. She paused, surprised. But unlike in our past life, she didn't look at me with disgust. The smoke something I'd given up for her for a decade, filled my lungs. I exhaled a ring of smoke. Fine, but stay out my way. She didn't seem to mind the smoke swirling around me and leaned in closer. You're the one who needs to keep up, she said. I just scoffed. Candy knew San Francisco better than I did. In our past life, Leo had worked here. I once suggested we take a trip here together, even creating a massive, detailed itinerary for us. Her only response had been a cold, sounds fun, but I don't have time for games. But this time, arriving in San Francisco, she was full of enthusiasm. That night, she pulled me to the floor-to-ceiling window of her hotel suite, pointing out at the city lights over the bay. This is the best time to see them. Look, they're fine, I said, unimpressed. The next day, she dragged me to an amusement park, and we went on every ride. Holding a stick of cotton candy, she scrolled through the pictures on her phone. Why aren't you smiling in any of these? It ruins the photo. I yawned. I didn't want to come here in the first place. I'm not in the mood. She paused for a moment, but then she just smiled. The day after that, she took me up to Twin Peaks, where we stood overlooking the entire city. You always said you loved hiking, she said. It's all right, I replied. She looked at me, a confused expression on her face. I remember you saying you wanted to come here. Did I? I ran a hand through my messy hair, not caring how I looked. I don't remember. It wasn't until we were standing in the Japanese tea garden that it finally clicked. The entire tour she'd taken me on was identical to the detailed itinerary I had made for her in our past life. It was a shame, really. A trip is only as good as the company you keep. I never cared about the scenery. I was over her now, and places I had once dreamed of visiting felt meaningless. After she finished a quiet prayer, she placed an incense stick in the burner and looked at me. Sonny, are you happy being with me? No, I said. You're not supposed to lie in a sacred place. She tilted her head. What about just this trip? Have you been happy? No. She pressed her lips together. Her smile seemed strained. But you used to want this so badly. You wanted me to come with you. I did, I said. But it's too late for that now. As the incense smoke drifted upwards, her voice was barely a whisper. Okay, I understand. She paused, then added, but I'm not giving up. She looked directly at me. And I'm not lying, not here. I glanced down, but her bright, clear eyes caught mine, and for a second, I was lost. It felt like the first day I ever saw her, when one look from those eyes captured my heart and set the course for my entire life of devotion. But that was all over now. Do what you want, I said, turning to leave. But I'm not getting back together with you. When you've had enough, you can see yourself out. Candy left sooner than I expected. When I woke up the next morning, she was gone. My calls went straight to voicemail. Even though I was done with her, a basic sense of decency made me use my contact to try and find her. Staring at the unanswered messages, a knot of worry began to form in my stomach. A few days later, I had wrapped up my business in the city, and there was still no word from her. Had something actually happened? I frowned, unable to shake the feeling. It wasn't until I got a call from back home that I learned she had returned. I finally let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. At least she was safe. But after I landed and was heading home, I passed by a park, and the sight of two familiar figures made me stop in my tracks. I would recognize the backs of Candy and Leo anywhere. A gentle breeze blew a strand of Candy's hair, and Leo gently tucked it behind her ear. I heard him say softly, "If he doesn't want you, I do." A sharp pain, like a needle, pierced my heart. Even though I was determined to cut her out of my life, I never hated her. In fact, when she disappeared, I had been genuinely worried. If she had simply given up and we'd gone our separate ways, I wouldn't have cared. But for her to run straight back to Leo without a word, all while acting so affectionate toward me, was something I couldn't stomach. It brought back all the pain of my failed past life. Forget it. It was better to have no contact at all. She was a curse I needed to break. I left without disturbing them. I went home and blocked her number, her social media, everything. I erased every trace of her from my life. From that moment on, the past was dead to me. The deal in San Francisco was finalized, a guaranteed success. With that settled, I started planning a trip for myself. I had only ever wanted to go to San Francisco because Candy loved it. The places I truly wanted to see were elsewhere. Since I was traveling alone now, I could finally go wherever I wanted. But on the very day I was set to leave, Candy knocked on my door again. What now? I asked, my patience wearing thin. Candy stood there with her hands behind her back, leaning forward with a smile. Did you forget? It's my birthday today. I rubbed my temples. Then go celebrate with Leo. What do you want from me? But you're my husband, she said. The words sent a shiver down my spine. No, I'm not. And we have nothing to do with each other anymore. So stop bothering me. I turned to leave with my suitcase, but she grabbed my arm. Sonny, haven't you had enough of this? I snapped. I spun around and yanked my arm free. How many times do I have to tell you? We're done. Finished. You spent years wanting me to set you free, and now that I have, why won't you leave me alone? Isn't Leo giving you what you want? I had raised my voice, which brought my father into the hall. Seeing that Candy's eyes were red-rimmed, he immediately threw a light punch at my shoulder. You brat, is that any way to talk to Candy? The Hayes and Campbell families went way back, and my dad had always treated Candy like a daughter. I dodged another playful swing from him. I didn't do anything. She's the one who won't let me leave. Mr. Hayes, please stop. Candy gently stopped my father's arm. She turned to me. Sonny, I promise this is the last time I'll bother you. Just let me spend my birthday with you. Just this once. After midnight, I'll disappear from your life forever. I rubbed my forehead. You promise? Yes. She raised her right hand. I swear on the Campbell name. I considered it for a moment. Fina, but you have to keep your word. After today, you leave me alone. I will. Her eyes lit up, and she threw her arms around mine. Then let's go. A strange numbness spread through me. I wasn't used to girls being this affectionate with me, especially not Candy. Despite my reservations, I knew this was the last time we'd ever spend together. And since it was her birthday, I tried not to be too cold to her. I even found myself pointing to a little stall selling hand-woven red bracelets. Do you like that? I can get it for you. I didn't actually expect her to say yes. A cheap trinket like that was normally beneath her notice, and I was only making a casual offer. Okay, she said with a smile, and I was sure I'd misheard her. You actually like this kind of thing? I like anything you buy for me. For a second, I wondered if this bright-eyed person in front of me was even the same woman. I bought the bracelet and tied it around her wrist. She held it up for me to see, pointing to the single red being woven into the string. Do you know what this symbolizes? No idea, I said dismissively. You're hopeless, she said, tapping my forehead lightly. It's from an old poem. It means my love for you is bone deep. Do you even know? I froze. I couldn't stand her being so sentimental. Save those lines for Leo, I said. I couldn't bear the thought of her using the same words of love for someone else. She just smiled, unbothered. Seeing how much she treasured that cheap little bracelet made me feel a bit guilty. Let's go shopping, I offered. My treat. Is that my birthday present? She asked, blinking up at me. Sure. Besides, I haven't eaten dinner yet. She laughed softly and hugged my arm. You don't have to take me anywhere. I've already made plans. When she opened the door to her hotel room, I saw a huge birthday cake and piles of presents covering every surface. I stared. Are these all for you? No, she said. They're for you. I pointed at myself. For me? But it's your birthday. Candy's eyes crinkled as she smiled. I know. These are makeup for all the birthdays of yours I missed. Go on, take a look. The gifts were arranged in neat piles, each one labeled with an age. There was a pile for my first birthday, my second, my third, all the way up to my 32nd. 32. In my past life, Candy and I married when I was 22. 10 years later, I died for her. I had celebrated every single one of her birthdays for over a decade, but she had never once remembered mine. Was she trying to make up for all the birthdays she'd forgotten in her past life? It's your birthday, but you're the one throwing a party for me? I asked, looking at her. Are you touched? She asked, tilting her head. I am, I said, my voice flat. Anyone would be. It has nothing to do with you. I wanted to make it clear that this gesture wouldn't change anything between us. I know, she said, her gaze falling. I wasn't expecting it to. Hearing the sadness in her voice, I couldn't bring myself to be cruel on her birthday. So what do you want? As a gift for me? Well, she said, as if she'd been waiting for me to ask. Could you come with me to Grace Cathedral? After we lit a candle in the cathedral, she took out a small box. Inside was a ring that looked almost identical to our old wedding band. Sonny, I have one last wish, she said. Will you put it on for me? I frowned. Are you asking me to propose to you? She laughed. Would you if I asked? We were in a holy place, so I couldn't lie. I shook my head. No. She kept smiling, but she let out a soft sigh. I knew you'd say that. Don't worry. It doesn't mean anything. I just want you to be the one to put it on me. That's all. I swear it. After midnight, I'll be gone for good. With a sigh, I took the ring and slid it onto her finger. She admired it for a moment, then leaned her head gently against my shoulder. I tensed up, but since this was our last moment together, I didn't pull away. "Sonny, I love you," she whispered. "You're not supposed to lie in a church," I said quietly. "That's why I had to tell you here." She was completely insane. I frowned. "I admit, I didn't love you at first," she continued. "But after 10 years, even a heart of stone would have warmed up." "Don't." I cut her off. I didn't want to hear it. Not after everything that had happened. She had always been so good at playing with my emotions. "I'm not lying, Sonny." She rested her head on my shoulder, looking out at the city lights below. "I know you hate me, and I'm not asking you to forgive me. My biggest birthday wish is for you to be happy for the rest of your life." "You're acting so strange today," I said. I glanced down and saw a drop of blood land on the back of my hand. Then another. "Candy." I caught her as she slumped into my arms, a trickle of blood at the corner of her mouth. "I'm taking you to the hospital." I tried to lift her, but she weakly pushed against my chest. "Don't. It's too late. It's midnight." The cathedral bells began to chime. My breath hitched. "Midnight? What about midnight?" "My time is up," she whispered. "In our last life, I was supposed to die. This extra time with you, I had to beg for it." "What are you talking about?" "Sonny," she said, a faint, bloody smile on her lips. She raised her hand, the one with the new ring. "Thank you for this. I really do love you. So much." Her hand went limp in mine, the warm, slick blood pooling between our palms. The city lights reflected in her fading eyes. I wish this moment could last forever. The woman in my arms grew still. My hand tightened around hers. And suddenly, I felt an unbearable emptiness deep inside me. I knew from a very early age that I was just a character in a story. By some strange twist of fate, I learned how my story was supposed to end, with a kidnapper's bullet through my heart. The tragedy was, by then, I had already fallen in love with Sonny. I was ready to finally accept his love, to have his children, to grow old with him. But fate had other plans. Knowing I didn't have much time left, I would watch him sleep beside me. I traced the sharp line of his jaw with my finger as tears streamed down my face. When I died, he would only be 32. He still had his whole life ahead of him. So, I decided to let him hate me. I would be the cruel wife who only ever loved her first love. That way, when I was gone, it would be easy for him to move on. I threw every birthday present I'd ever bought for him into the fireplace, along with the roses he'd just brought me. When he came home and saw the ashes, I sneered at him. "You can't force love to grow from roses, Sonny. Stop wasting your time." The day I was kidnapped, I never imagined he would be willing to die for me. That's why, when I had to choose who to save, I chose Leo without a second thought. I knew how the story was supposed to go. I was the target. The ransom was just a way for them to get my money before they killed me. The bullet was meant to hit me as I walked away with Leo. I had no regrets. I thought that seeing me choose another man would finally set him free. But I never, ever expected him to break away from the script and take that bullet for me. I made a deal to turn back time, to start everything over. Even though he had taken my place, and I was now free to live a long life, I couldn't accept it. I had to save him. I would only live until my next birthday, but it was worth it. What I didn't expect was that he had been reborn too. But that was okay. It meant I had a few more months with him. I made him chase me for so long in our last life. What was wrong with me chasing him in this one? And if I failed, it didn't matter. I was going to die soon anyway. All I wanted was to experience a little of that past happiness with him again, even for just a moment. And most importantly, I needed to finally tell him the words I could never say in our last life. "You can't lie in a holy place. My husband, I love you. This time, you have to live a long, happy, and healthy life."